Perk up my mood.
Our next question is one that several people have sent in. I guess it is something that recently came up on Chris Jericho's little show. He had Eugene, Nick Dinsmore, as a guest. And here is a quote. One time, Cornette tried Cena against Randy in the main event. Counting down 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 5, 4. They went over like 2 minutes and 17 seconds, something like that. I remember Cena coming back, doing his tape. It was a good match. Like, yeah, we did really good. Corny is, goddamn, 2 minutes and 17 seconds? Gets his baseball bat and starts beating the windows in the building down from us, hitting his car. Randy just left when he came back. Yeah, every now and then, Cornette's frustrations came out. Is this true? Do you remember an incident because they went 2 minutes and 17 seconds over time of smashing windows with your bat?
I wouldn't have remembered it was actually Cena and Orton specifically, but, well, that wasn't the only time. See, remember, I've told you at the old Davis Arena in Jeffersonville, we were the last tenants in this fucking, it's since been demolished, right? And they've put up some new structures there. But it was this old turn of the 20th century, like train station apparatus looking thing with all these broken windows anyway and just old red brick. And we were the only tenants in this whole complex. So I'd go out and throw some chairs through the fucking windows or goddamn beat on some shit because 2 minutes and 17 seconds over meant the difference between me and Danny Davis both being able to leave the building by midnight and 4 a.m. because we were mastering the television show on Super VHS and we really didn't do post-production. So what I was going to have to do was sit down from scratch and figure out a way to cut 2 minutes and 17 seconds out of the VTRs and the other stuff that we were going to place in the program afterwards that had been carefully timed down to the second with verbal in and out cues so that we could drop them in the holes that Danny had left. And we were probably going to have to drop a couple of, at least 1 minute, 2 of our commercial spots, 30 seconds each, to make up that time, and then going to have to make another edit, which laid another segment onto that Super VHS tape earlier than what it was so that we kept it on the master, and then dub it over to a beta tape on our beta recorder to make the TV station think that we actually had professional equipment when we handed them a fucking tape. So just them not being able to hit their time cues caused us hours of extra work, which is why the cardinal sin in OVW was I don't care what you fucking do, even if you fuck up, don't go over time, which is why that every single one of the OVW graduates, when they went to Raw and they were on live television, could hit their fucking cues. Because in most cases, especially from say 2002 to 2005, at the end of an OVW show, we would barely be 30 seconds off either way, short or long from where we had wanted to be to begin with. And that's doing live to tape. You got to learn these things, kids. Would they have been any happier if I'd have broke the windows out of their car?
Did anyone ever react to you doing this? Did Danny ever say, "What are you doing? Please don't beat up the building. Beat up your car, but leave the building alone"? One of these young guys like Cena or Orton get scared ever at you doing this?
Yes, yeah, because it wasn't Danny's building, and it wasn't even our complex. It was the building out back in the parking lot next door. But I swear to God, one time, what happened? Jesus Christ. We're shooting at the old building, live to tape. And somebody did something so fucking egregiously stupid that it screwed the whole segment up. And I came in cutting a promo on everybody, and I told Danny how to fucking fix it, that we were going to go back and do this and that. And I goddamn had a hold of his desk, and I turned his fucking desk over when I was yelling at him. And then stormed back out and sat back down at the fucking, at the announcer desk and the fucking camera came back up, and right as I said, welcome back to OVW, I realized, wait a minute, I just turned Danny's desk over. He said, hey, Danny has a temper too. He wasn't as flashy with it, but he was actually a whole lot more dangerous. He knew I was in a zone, and he fucking turned it over. We made a lot of money together, so he overlooked some of my picadillos, and like I said, he wasn't as flashy, but there was that one time that, well, I'll say his name. It's been 20 years. Stephen Gamblin. It's this big 6'7", 275-pound ex-football player that they had fucking signed to a developmental deal, had never wrestled before, had never had any wrestling training before. I was one of the early developmentals, and they were looking for anybody but wrestlers and sending them to us, right? Well, this young man happened to squire Danny's daughter, who was of legal age, out on a night on the town one night, and she didn't come back home until basically daylight the next day. And Danny was waiting on old Stephen Gamblin to pull up behind the Davis Arena there in Jeffersonville at the old place. Everybody was kind of standing around minding their own business, but they were waiting on Stephen because Danny's the first one there, and everybody knew he was not in a good mood. Stephen pulls up, and some of those guys they signed then, that David Nelson, Russ McCullough, some of these other guys with football and bodybuilding backgrounds, they had real nice cars. They'd pull up to this junky building where they were making $300 a week on these developmental deals, but they had these nice cars, right? Stephen Gamblin pulls up, and he gets out all 6'7", 300 pounds of him, and Danny Davis comes out 5'6", 210 pounds then because he had a little pot belly. And he looked at that big motherfucker. He said, let me just tell you this one time. If you ever take my daughter out overnight and bring her home the next morning, she shows up at daylight, I will pull your fucking eyeball out and skull fuck you, you big football playing motherfucker. Now you slink your ass in my building and you put your bag down and you take care not to get me cross at you again, or I will fuck you up. And he walked back in the office. And Stephen Gamblin looked because he hadn't been here very long, and he's like, this gray-headed, short, old fucker. And then a couple of the boys told him he meant what he said, and don't try him. And for the rest of the time he was here, which wasn't long because he was the shits and didn't pan out, he didn't irritate Danny Davis anymore.
Well, on this topic,
Danny Davis got stretched on a daily fucking basis in Herb Welch's fucking barn in goddamn Dyersburg, when he was not going to put up with some fucking pampered football player on a contract.
On a similar topic, I'll read this question because it kind of ties into this. This was sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Randall in Concord, North Carolina. I was recently listening to Ryan Nemeth on the Chris Van Vliet podcast, and he talked about a time when he was with OVW. You came in after getting a flat tire. He said you stormed into the building cussing like crazy, and he did his best to avoid you that day. Do you have any memories of this day?
No. I'm trying to, it's now that he's mentioned the flat tire, it seems like I may have had a fucking flat tire on the way to the arena at one point. But I always liked Ryan Nemeth. I liked Nick and I liked Ryan. Got a kick out of them. So I don't remember ever yelling at him, and it was probably good he stayed away from me.